So, welcome to the first episode of Budget to Banging Bikes, where I'm going to be taking the parts from a top end, in this case, S-Works Tarmac, and putting them on a bog standard, cheapest diverge I could get, and seeing how it improves the performance and ride with a power meter. Okay, so welcome to my first video blog or vlog. It had to happen at some point, I suppose. But I think it's quite a good place to start because despite always having a very nice bike, when as I've been lucky enough to have, I think it's always been very good to also have a very basic bike. So I had a 2010-2011 specialised Allez bog standard. So a few upgrades over its time, but they were quite limited. It's quite good because you get the same geometry as a Tarmac, and obviously the weight is very different. Let's put it this way, on a bog standard bike you don't lift it up and down like that without even noticing, but there are ways to change that, and at the end of the day I've always been surprised about how amazing bikes can be at that low end price level. And I think one of the key things is just to bear that in mind when you're thinking about the next upgrade. But also, if you're thinking of getting into the sport, you do not need to have the most expensive bike going. You need to get a basic bike and get into it, and then you can use that bike as a winter bike, as a mule, something that you can take to the shops without being paranoid that you're going to get it stolen. So, one of the things I always upgrade on these bikes is the tyres. The tyres that come on any bike really are the choice of a product manager who is choosing it based on usually what he thinks the buyer wants rather than what they actually want. That's the way it goes. So in this box, despite the giant packaging, is actually a specialised Diverge 2018 in candy red. Now I recently was looking at these. I saw this bike when I was buying some other bikes, and I wanted it all the time. It's now getting on to 2020, and it was reduced to silly money. And honestly, I'm going to do a series of upgrades, but it's pretty much usable out of the box. But out of the box, it comes with some 30mm Espoir, or how you say them, tyres from Specialized, which are a wire bead. I can't deal with wire bead tyres for reasons you may get to hear about, maybe too many times. But yeah, you need flexible tyres, and you need good tyres. Now, this is a gravel bike. Obviously, the Espoir tyres come on the low-end bike because it is designed as a commuter. And out of the box, you could commute with that fantastically. However, that's not what I'm going to be doing with my bike. So what I've got for it straight out of the box are these lovely new Gravel King SKs, but with the new Plus Gravel King Plus kit. They're amazingly light at 420 grams for a very wide 35 width tyre. This is about the maximum you can get on an aluminium Diverge. I know you can get up to 42 on the carbon version, which means I could probably put a 42 on the front. Something I used to do with mountain bikes, just can't be bothered doing anymore. The other things that are going to be upgraded on it is immediately the cranks. I can't be dealing with 2x cranks in getting onto 2020. So I will be putting the fabulous power crank from Rotor on the back. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want to do a series of tests with the power showing on how different the power that you exert and the resulting performance that you get from bikes, and hopefully it will tell us that yes, it is worth your money spending a load of money on bikes, or no, it isn't, or give you where you should spend your money if money's tight or not. So yeah, it's going to get these lovely tyres, which I'm looking forward to putting on. Of course, they're going to be set up tubeless. I've got a 3T stem and some 3T Super Gaia bars, which haven't arrived yet. And this lovely bottom bracket. Now, you hear loads of people talking about bottom brackets and how amazing the Diverge and various gravel bikes are for having a 68mm English thread. I honestly don't care, and I'll do some blogs on this later. At the end of the day, a bottom bracket is only as good as it is maintained, and whatever product that you have, if it's not maintained regularly, it is going to creak, etc. So quite honestly, I mean, I have press fit 30 bottom brackets. I prefer the 13mm axle because it's aluminium, it's lighter. When you're spinning something round and round and round, as we know with rotational weight, the lighter the better, but also I find it stiffer, and steel has its advantages, which I really like in frames and other things because it has give. I really don't like give, that feeling of give in a bottom bracket. So I prefer the 13mm, and I'm going to be putting these amazing cups on there. Did see this a while ago with Ned Overland of Specialized was putting the Specialized sort of lightning adjusted S-Works cranks on a 68mm bottom bracket using the zip bottom bracket. But you needed the wide spindle, which I may have or may not have. I've got a spare one of those bottom brackets downstairs, which will probably be going on this S-Works before I flog it. Sorry, I only have space for so many bikes. It is beautiful, absolutely stunningly beautiful, all blacked out, but out with the old and on with the new. So yeah, I'm quite excited about putting these on because having a power meter does help the way you train and just do all sorts of things, from being able to drop people in a very professional way, i.e. being able to see how much power you're putting out and knowing whether you can keep that power up or not, and you can then turn what is just a casual overtaking into to a proper exert, or you can actually go, wow, I'm pushing up X amount of watts here. I better slow down before I make an idiot of myself. One thing I do like about this, so one of my pet hates with threaded bottom brackets that very few people talk about, because apparently the threaded bottom bracket is the most amazing thing still in cycling, which it isn't, is the fact that they're always made of metal, and when you put the metal tool on the metal, it always damages them, and it's a pain because it looks awful, but also over time, if you keep maintaining these as you should do by taking them out and re-greasing them, they're just not designed to be open and closed that many times. But Rotor include this amazing sort of fiber plastic tool, which not only fits over to let you use a standard tool, but also clips in if you're not doing a video. There you go, clips in and just locks amazingly on, and lets you either use a square taper or the proper tool, and lets you foul this tool. But given that this is plastic and the tool is metal, then you're not fouling both your tool and your bottom bracket. So I'm really looking forward to this. So let's get the box open and have a look at the amazing paint job on this Candy Red Specialized. Now look at that, isn't that beautiful? I mean, obviously it's not the full chameleon effect of the Specialized, which actually divides opinion. When it's blue, everybody loves it, but when it's purple, some people think it's a bit too purple. But just look at that. I mean, that is a box standard bike, and how amazing does it look right out of the box. As much as I love box standard bikes, seatbelts and saddle that they come with are generally not what I particularly like, but it is all pretty functional, and that for a box standard bike is a very good saddle, and a very decent seat tube. So we'll probably use that in the box standard stage. I think out of the box I want to try and run it as standard as possible. As I said, I'm definitely not running that crank because I just can't be dealing with 8-speed 2x in 2019, let alone getting towards 2020. In the box we have the pedals, which are landfill, and we have all this stuff about recycling, but I mean, single-use plastic, we're still speccing bikes with single-use reflectors, and honestly, 2020 need to change. So yeah, I mean, look at it. it is an amazing looking bike. So let's get it thinned down and we'll do a bit more. So what I really love about this bike is that it is flat mount. I look at these tyres, I do criticise them because they're not what I want, but yeah, they are pretty meaty 30mm tyres, and they do come on wheels that are at least 20 if not 21mm internal width, which, you know, now this day and age is what you really need. So these tyres have plumped out rather well, and so yeah, you've got a carbon fork which is black with the candy red. You've got that lovely candy red. You've got post mount front and back. You've got the de rigueur dropped chainstay, which sadly my my old S-Works doesn't have, but they do have from I think 2017, 2016. No, so this is 2017, so it must be from 2018. You've got the, I mean the discs are not that great, but they'll do. They're obviously cable pull brakes, which again, not great, but just look at that paint. It is absolutely stunning. I'm gonna have a little look to make sure that the bike they've given me wasn't some demonstrator and been sold as a brand new bike, but yeah, I'm looking forward to getting this on the road. As soon as we get this absolutely dreadful crank off, I hate to be a snob, but it is a dreadful crank. Okay, so our amazing one bike conversion of a bog standard bike has finished stage one, which was fitting this rather amazing proper crank, as I'd call them. I really don't like the standard cranks that you get that are sort of moulded or cast. They always seem to have a bit of extra weight and flex that I don't want. The flex may be in my head. But here we have the amazing BSA 30 bottom bracket. A few people make these. The Wheels Manufacturing make them. This is a rotor one, just because I'm using a rotor crank. And they have cups that thread into the English thread. But there is a full 30mm bearing set in there, which is replaceable, re-oilable. It's not one of these plastic things that you have to chuck in and throw away. And honestly, I've never had a creaking one when it's well maintained. And it's so easy to put in and replace. And this crank looks really nice. I'm still using the original 8-speed KMC chain that came with it. I haven't given it a ride yet, but from previous experience, it just works. And as we can see here, we've still got the original Claris rear derailleur. That will be being changed pretty soon. And here we have an empty front derailleur mount, which is going to stay there just because it's candy red and kind of nice. I've even got the little stay there from the Shimano rear derailleur, which will probably come off. I have been toying with the idea of making a carbon fibre cover for these, but quite frankly, there are better things to do. And so we're going to give this a bit of a weigh-in. It's still got the front cable on, which is kind of pathetic, I know, but I just can't be bothered working out how to get them out of the Claris derailleur yet, but we'll work that out now. But more importantly, we're going to have a quick weigh-in to see how much it weighs when you get rid of those horrible square taper cranks. Okay, so you'll have to forgive the rudimentary way of enabling bike weight cam, but bike weight cam is going to be a regular thing, and we're going to turn it on. This lovely park tool, and it's going to come in at, oh, you're a moron, you haven't set the tare first. Let's do this again. Okay, here it is. Let's put the full weight on. Can you take the suspense? It's coming in at 10.2 kilos with that crank gone. I have no idea how much a medium one of these weighs with the crank on, but it must be way more than that. Anyway, let's see how we manage to get this down to an acceptable sort of 8 or 7 kilos if we can, but certainly sub 9.